What's up, everybody? We're going to have a very merry Headless's magical mailbag. I got with me my co host Nick and special guest, Arrows Up. Welcome, everybody. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Merry Christmas, Headless.
Yes,
Merry Christmas.
I said Arrows. Merry Christmas.
I'm surprised you're so festive. I have to be honest.
Yeah, so was I
Well-
actually. I was like, oh.
I had to remind Nick to take out his Christmas tree. There.
Oh, yeah, my crackhead tree.
Reject.
I totally forgot to get like ornaments. I was supposed to get ornaments, and I was like, yo, I can't go on with this shit. So I literally unplugged it and threw it in the kitchen before the show. And he's like, nah, you got to pull that shit out. I was like, fuck it, all right. I was like, it's a Charlie Brown Christmas.
Right. Charlie Brown Occult Rejects Christmas there. It's perfect.
Is it because it's so like skinny?
Yeah, I don't think. To tell you honest with you, I was supposed to like push that shit down more too. Like I really dropped the ball. I really didn't give a shit about putting the tree up, honestly.
It looks great.
My father mailed it to me, so I was like, I guess I gotta put it up, right? So next year. Where's yours, Arrows?
I don't have a tree.
I've
I've never owned a tree.
Gotta get a little Hanukkah bush.
That's it. That's a possibility.
You can hang like Sephiroth stuff.
There you go. You get up the Kabbalah tree.
Yeah, we get a Kabbalah tree.
Yeah. You should have got one of those.
Background.
I know. Next year, that's what I'll do. I'll say, I'll hang Sephiroths from that.
Would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, today we're going with the sun theme. We didn't negotiate this beforehand, but I'll go first.
Yeah, awesome.
My symbol is Sol Invictus. Also Helios, also Apollo, also all of these different sun gods sort of all came together and they wanted to make, at around the 2nd century AD, Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, the official head of the Roman pantheon, but it didn't work out that way. And we got a different head of the Roman pantheon. But what's interesting is this mural of Sol Invictus is in the basement of the Vatican, and that's actually Jesus right there. So what they were trying to do is merge these two cults into one thing. And well, it didn't work out that way, as you can see. But really, the way you can tell if it's a Sol Invictus painting is either if it has Mithras in there with the bull, slaying the bull, because that's also Sol Invictus, or it's got this guy with the 4 horses, right? And he's got this big halo with all of these, bright kind of rays coming off of it, a lot like the Statue of Liberty, right? And this Sol Invictus character is part of a cult ritual initiation that is very Thracian. So all of the sort of Mithras / Sol Invictus cult stuff is really coming through Persia as this new cult sort of dynasty. The old cult dynasty was the Eleusinian mystery schools. And so this new cult dynasty was Mithras. And you even have some of the people from Eleusinian mystery schools complaining that now all of the rites are from Mithras and they're not actually from the Eleusinian rites anymore. Now, we still don't know what those rites are, but there is complaints that the Mithras cult sort of took over everything at around this time period, around 2nd century AD. So it's a really interesting thing because Sol Invictus is parallel with Jesus Christ, and they're both sort of on the rise. And then the Christians got serious. You've got Tertullian in the 2nd century who says that the Mithras cult is a vicious plagiarism of Christianity. Now, hang on a second, because we've got the archaeological evidence to show that there was nothing plagiarized about Sol Invictus and this sort of cult of the sun from Christianity. In fact, it was quite the reverse. So when Tertullian is saying they're copying us, he's what I like to call accusing.
accusing.
Right? So it's an admission while he's making the accusation. So it's an accusation. So that's what I got. Sol Invictus. Oh, also Sol Invictus. That's the reason why we have Christmas. So Merry Sol Invictus Day.
I dig that crescent on the head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's really
And
a
Statue of Liberty looking dude right there.
right. So this would be like Kronos, I think, because Kronos is at the end of the mysteries. Always, when you go through these mysteries, you meet Kronos. And so all of these journeys of Sol Invictus and all the rest of the stuff, you're not actually talking to him in the ceremony. This is supposed to get you in the frame of mind so that you can talk to Kronos. Now, what's interesting about that too is all of these DMT trips, you're going into this realm and you're talking with like an archetype character of kind of the architect of the universe, right? Which is a very Saturnian or Kronos type figure. And people are seeing these machine elves, which, you know, represent sort of like the back rooms of the universe, and they're putting everything together behind the scenes. They're working on something. And we kind of see them as this, you know, separate dimensional entity, but they could have been having similar events in their time period. Maybe they just saw it differently. Maybe it was more of this grandfatherly figure as opposed to whatever the machine elves are represented by. But, you know, they've got a lot of different representations. So what you got, Nick? Let me bring this one up.
There we go. Got the Aten sun disk. Those my notes. Yeah, the Aten sun disk, and it's, you know, sun that has like rays and the end in hands. The Aten sign is a plain solar circle whose rays end in tiny hands. Those hands often clutch ankhs to the mouths of a royal couple or people, imagery of life transmitting straight from the sun. The one in the Met notes exactly that this is Aten, a solar disk with rays ending in small human hands. When and where it appears, you see it in the reign of Akhenaten around 1353 to 1336 BCE. The form shows up on altars, tomb walls, boundary cliffs, temple blocks, and house shrines. The famous house altar type that you'd see, you can find in the Berlin Neues Museum, shows Akhenaten, Nefertiti, and their daughters beneath the rays, which offer ankhs to the parents. Then you can see it in a Amarna boundary stele of Akhenaten's cliff cut proclamations found the new sacred city Akhenaten and repeatedly invoke Aten. The Amarna project lays out the stele and the dates. They have it, and then there's in the Met Museum, the Met preserves both Aten raid scenes and blocks with Aten's cartouches on it. And the British Museum holds a piece of an Armena relief that carries like the same look. What it is meant, now, who knows, but Akhenaten's theology made the visible sun the locus of divine life. The Aten gives breath of the Ankh directly to king and queen. Everyone else receives it through them. The text carved in Amarna tombs, the great hymn to the Aten, best preserved in the tomb of Ai, praise Aten as creator and sustainer. And dawn's rays wake the world and sets creatures to work and fold them into sleep at dusk. The hymn is our clearest statement of Aten's cosmic monarchy. After Akhenaten's death, the symbol was suppressed. The restoration stele of Tutankhamun proclaims that the god's shrines neglected and were basically one of them neglected or dismantled, and some of them were reopened and like remade. So basically, after that, they kind of like got rid of this symbol. So I do have a few of them, though. I'll show a couple of them. Yeah, that was another one where you see the little hands giving the ankhs.
Right. So each ray from the sun is handing out an ankh. That is a hell of a party.
It's so cute.
Yeah, right.
It's really
Little hands.
cute.
Those fucking hands look like. Trying to make sure they had only 5 digits.
Right? Might have an extra one.
Yeah, right.
Call the president. We've got an extra finger. No, but I think it's really interesting that they have the this is like their form of monotheism, right? It was the visible sun now replaces all the other gods as the central theme in all of the religious worship. It's really interesting that we've got that same theme sort of happening again and again.
Yeah, the sun is so closely linked to creation. But also, isn't the Ankh like kind of like your higher self, like your most like transformed highest self?
That could be a new age interpretation. I've always heard that it represents the sandal, like it's the sandal strap. So what does that say? Is that like, good journey? I feel like it has like a good luck symbolism because it's always in a thing as a positive symbol. Like nobody's handing somebody an ankh as a curse, It's always a good thing.
I see it and I think that it's the sun and these little hands handing people like their daemon or HGA or something. It's
A
cute.
lot of ways I could see that.
Yeah. I would even. Yeah. I wonder if. It is interesting with the Ankh. Yeah, there's so many speculations of what the Ankh could even be or do. So then
Right.
you even have to wonder like what that what that really is telling you. Some people sometimes wonder if like Ankhs can make like a sound or a frequency or have something to do with that. If that's the case, does that have something to do with why it's coming out of the sun, certain frequency? I don't know, code.
I've heard people say that it's a plasma wave. So if you were to take a metal object shaped like an ankh and then put a charge through it, you get some sort of a plasma wave. And so who knows? That could be, plasma from the sun, plasma wave. That could be reaching. But I'd love to give it a try.
Yeah,
I wonder if you'd have to hook anything up to the sides or the bottom.
Right. Well, apparently, like, I don't know, they've got so many like schematic like hieroglyphs in Egypt. I'll bet you could find some sort of a reproduction of some of their maybe more mysterious tools to figure out what the ankh does, but that would take a while. Who knows what kind of material they were using?
I find it so hard to even find like good stuff from Egypt, like good literature or anything.
You kind of start to wonder how much of all that stuff is a lot of bullshit. It's you know what the thing is too is like even I think probably even for us like people who like either study the occult or at least symbolism. Sometimes when you even kind of look at like what supposedly these academics or what it's being said is being drawn, or it's just like that doesn't even make sense going by other things that I kind of have an idea about. Just even sometimes with occult symbolism, I just don't buy like what this supposed shit on the wall says. You know what I'm saying? I like, how'd you get that? I don't know. Sometimes I just, I just question all that shit, honestly.
Right. I think it's far too easy for people to put their, modern perspective on what they were thinking about back then. Because, they could have had a completely different frame of reference for a lot of these symbols that, we might know what they sound like, but we're not exactly sure on the total meaning of them. I mean,
yeah, but the eternal truths are still the eternal truths.
Very true. Very true. So what is your take on the Sol Invictus symbol?
I'll bring it back up if you would.
Yeah.
There was like maple leaves on there, which seems...
I don't know if those are maple leaves. They look a lot more like grape leaves to me.
Oh, grape leaves.
Oh, yeah, they do actually.
Well, I guess that would make sense, right? With the Mithra stuff, because isn't it so linked to like Dionysus?
Well, one guy who's called the sun is very much linked to Dionysus, and this is one of the reasons why they're like, what is what is a Dionysian Sol Invictus doing here? Well, again, it's very Thracian, but the dying and rising god having to do with the December 25th around the death and rebirth of the sun. I mean, that's the whole thing with Sol Invictus is they call him unconquerable because he comes back at the end of this time period where they're celebrating the death and rebirth of the sun. So it's a very important date for the Romans. You also have Saturnalia, which is another feast day around this time as well. That very influential. Again, Saturnalia. It's focused on Kronos, the end boss of all of these mystery schools. So, and also you've got the Christmas star. The Christmas star is where about every 10 years you have Jupiter and Saturn intersecting right around December 25th. So the Christmas star is another big one. And they make a big deal in the Thracian versions with the Thracian rider about the two stars, right? And they assume it's Castor and Pollux. But those two stars could be Jupiter and Saturn because they do conjoin during the Christmas holiday.
That's kind of interesting because like they're reuniting again after Zeus took power or something. But there's also horses, and that seems so related to the sun, right? Like Helios and just very solar.
Right. Helios, Sol Invictus, and Mithras are very, very closely related. Specifically Helios. It was more Apollo in southern Italy and in Delphi as well. But in Rome, it was Helios. Helios really took the lead. It was a lot less about Apollo. But they weren't disrespectful towards Apollo. It's just funny how these different depictions of the sun get used in different contexts. And in the first, second century AD, it was mostly Helios, which is funny because he represents sort of like two generations removed from the current gods that were ruling the world. Because Helios was the Titan god of the sun. He's the one who kept on the chariot instead of engaging in Titanomachy. So he was never part of the war against the Titans.
I feel like too having I just don't think I just don't think there's much of a relation between Jesus and the sun or like solar symbolism at all.
Really? So he's the son of God and he's got the 12 disciples. And the 12 disciples are representative of the 12 signs of the zodiac. And he's killed and then reborn in the spring. So
I don't see death and rebirth being really that solar. I don't know. And he's more like he's a martyr. I know that he says like know yourself, right? He does say that, but like he says to get into the kingdom of heaven, you have to like know yourself. But I just feel like just his temperament, what he really stands for, like martyrdom and like being of service and stuff like that, it does not scream solar to me at all. Because solar is like knowing yourself and embodying like your true authenticity and stuff like that. I don't know.
In some ways, I think the way that Tertullian puts it is that they were copying off of the story of Jesus in the creation of Mithras, which we know that Mithras came around first, and we've got the archaeological evidence of that. So the difference between these two cults was that the Jesus cult was open to absolutely everybody, and the Mithras cult was very exclusive. They mostly centered around high military personnel and people within the institution of government already. Christianity didn't focus just solely on the institution of government. They wanted everybody. So they were converting all sorts of people. Whereas the Romans actually had to like the Roman soldiers themselves paid for all of the things that they built with the Mithras cult. So all of those caves, all that stuff, that was paid for personally by the soldiers that were engaged in that cult activity. So all throughout the region, all the way up into England, they're building these themselves. This is not a Roman project. This is completely separate from that, which is, I think, it's kind of interesting. They wanted to keep their money separate from the government. They wanted to have autonomy. But anyways, so we have you on the show because you have an experience that you want to share with us.
Well, it's just a dream. I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
might as well. Okay. So I had this dream a couple nights ago. The first one, there was two dreams. The first isn't as detailed, but it was like I was going to this city. It was like all snowy, so it was just very white. And there were these people there, and it was like clear that they had killed everybody that lived in the town. And it was like this weird cult type thing. Like they didn't want me to leave. It seemed like I was kind of like one of them or whatever because like I could fly.
Wow,
But
you drink the juice.
I couldn't fly away from them though. Like we kept the same speed. And that's basically it. But then the second dream,
I like that. That's weird.
it was weird because it was like so just white themed, and
I think it's weird that you knew you couldn't fly faster than them. You know what I'm saying? Like you even had to struggle in your dream. That's just weird. You know what I'm saying? That you even acknowledge that.
oh yeah. Yeah, I kept trying to fly away, but they kept the same speed and then I would just get exhausted and give up. But
As a
anyway,
lifelong attempter to fly in my dreams, I found that if I'm having a lucid dream and then, it's like, all right, now it's time to try to fly, right? What I find is that it's a lot more like the Hulk. The Hulk just sort of jumps over entire continents.
Yeah.
And he's not exactly flying. It seemed more like that sensation as opposed to actual flight,
I had one lucid dream once where I like trained myself to look at my hands, right? Because you need a trigger in your
Right.
dream to be able to like notice that you're asleep to be able to control it. So that was like my thing. I would just like multiple times a day just look at my hands and be like, wow, I'm really aware of my hands. I'm awake right now. And then if you do that habitually, like you might do that in your dream. And I did do it in my dream. And then I was like, oh, I'm asleep. And then I was able to control the dream, but I flew in that dream and that was like real flight and that was awesome. But the second dream, I was at my childhood home and like we had a house kind of above our garage and like two commercial vehicles came into the driveway and then one of them left and I was like, okay, that's really weird. It's night. And so I was like plotting up this escape plan and so I was like, okay, I'll go on the balcony, I'll climb down the fence to the side and then like run away. But they had like surrounded the house. And so they like caught me and they were like making me do all of these like psychic weird training things with some other random dude that they had kidnapped. And they put like these weird things in my thighs, like these
Chips?
metal discs.
Oh shit! You're chipping.
Yeah. Yep. And those discs made it so like I couldn't run away.
Go again. Another thing with you not being able to go fast.
That's like a
Your
theme
speed
in my
being controlled.
dreams. But yeah, they were like making us do these weird psychic trainings and stuff. And I remember like at one point it was like I don't know, just great despair, like I was doing a training with this random dude. We fall on the ground and we're just like devastated at the loss of our freedom and like, you know, the our families that we had left behind, all of that stuff. And then I had like
Damn.
cut the discs out of my leg.
Oh fuck.
So I had this plan, and this like chick that was like our handler or whatever, she was like, "Oh, you don't sleep very much, do you?" And I was like, "Why do you care?" Then she went away for the day, and like the random dude also was asleep, so I was like, "Okay, this is my time. I cut them out of my thighs. I can run now." And so I did. And I went to like go see my sister who was a she was like doing this bake off or something. And so I get there and there's like all these people and there's like people selling their baked goods. Some of them are cleaning up, so it's like nearing the end of it. And so I go up to my sister and I'm like, we exchange haze. And then I feel a needle in my butt cheek. And uh it was like my sister was somehow like in on it or something.
Oh shit.
And then it was like in my head, I was like, okay, well, I'm about to be sedated. I could feel like myself getting sleepy. So I was like, well, what should I do? Could I like run to like a truck that's like maybe about to leave and hope that they don't have a tracker in me? Or maybe I could like, at least create some distance, try to figure something else out. Or I was like, maybe I could jump into a random river and maybe that'll take me somewhere. Or I was like, I could run into oncoming traffic. But it was like, I just knew I had to start running, but I woke up at that point. But yeah.
Yo, that is a bugged out dream. Very detailed. A lot of yeah. Like even the fact that you were contemplating like the loss of your freedom. Ooh.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if I was going to go the analysis approach, it feels like you're not in control, but
Yeah. Two things, the same thing in both of them. It's something to do
all
with
three.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
All
there
three.
was a third one too where there was a spider and I was like with my family and I was like scared of this spider. I was like, I don't trust this spider. And my family's just like having a conversation and stuff like that. And I was like, the spider, and they're like just doing their thing. And then like it like ran up me really quickly and onto my throat. And I was like, oh no, help, help. And then it bit my throat. And I like felt that and I felt the venom going into me and then I died.
You died in your dream? I hear that can be hazardous to your health. I've never actually died. It's always like when I get close to being dead, that's when I wake up.
Yeah.
What happens after you die in your
Oh,
dreams?
you know.
Do you remember? Or?
She astral projects.
No, I've never astral projected before actually.
Never astral projecting in your dream. That's like some fucking weird shit right there. It's Inception type stuff right there.
Have you guys ever astral projected? As for it just goes black and then you wake up.
There's been times where I felt like I was like somewhere that I was like viewing something. But it also happened like a lot of the times when that did happen, it was always, this is interesting, always when I was extremely sick. Like high fevers too. I have like these almost like delirious episodes. But every time when it happens, it always feels extremely heavy. That as if like I fall out from underneath myself. And, like I just go somewhere else and just view an area for a bit. That happened to me in jail once. I was fucking sick in jail. I was in the shoe. The whole thing I was telling you about because of the email. And I had a fucking one of them there, and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck, yo?" It's like to the point to where it's like you could almost feel like there's like the density of like the area that you're in. Like I remember I was somewhere where I thought it looked kind of like Silent Hill. I couldn't tell if it was snow or not, but it looked like white shit was falling, and it literally had the feeling of like like when you go out and it's just like if you went into the woods and it was snowing, it would just have this like deafening silence, and like the air has thickness to it. I was feeling like all of that. Why I was just like, in this place that I was just witnessing, and it was just like these two pillars. It looked like two stone pillars, and like I was on top of them or something. It was really weird, and but like it felt like it was so like, and I'm not seeing my body. I'm just like visualizing it, and it just felt so fucking real. Like,
Were
I
you
was
like
feeling
flying around?
No, I was just there. Like I was just like just witnessing. Like they're just looking at this one type of angle for a bit, and watching the stuff fall. Like I was even trying to wonder, like, what is this? Is that snow? It was. I couldn't tell. I was like, I was even trying to think, like, where the fuck am I? Because I was like, I don't know where the fuck this is. I've never been here before.
My mom used to astral project a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
What was her secret? Did she have one?
Formula.
I have no idea. I think she did it a lot and then she stopped because she said like just her coming back into her body. Sometimes it was just like she would like shake and stuff like that. Like it was rough getting back in. I don't know.
Yeah. So what I've heard is that when you're in a hypnagogic state between asleep and awake, what you're supposed to do is try to roll your eyes back into your head all the way to the other side. Because as soon as you do that, your body has sort of shifted from the material realm into the astral realm. And so what you'll feel after that is sort of like falling, and you're supposed to just go with it. If you resist at any point, you end up getting slingshotted back into your body, but you got to have to go with the feel of falling. And then all of a sudden you're sort of outside of your body. A lot of times that process is too traumatic for people because you're like instantly dissociating from your body, and it's really, a different sensation altogether. So they don't remember how they got outside of their body, right? Like that's the part that gets blanked out. So it's interesting.
I imagine it's all the prescription medicine and alcohol.
There you go.
But I don't know whether I would ever want to astral project, but like, I mean, she just described it as like she would like fly around and just like go visit people, which is weird. Like, okay, stalker, dream stalker, but
what else are you gonna do?
I don't know.
I'd check out a volcano. I think that'd be awesome. You could actually be as close to the lava as you want to be.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Maybe the bottom of the ocean. I don't know. I kind of want to go to dangerous places for some reason.
I just would worry, like, how would you get back? If you go all the way to a volcano, you go all the way to the bottom of the ocean. I don't know.
Well, they say that you have a silver cord attached to your belly button that brings you back to your body. So as long as you can yank on the silver cord, then you can go straight over. But they say that unless you have this is the whole theory on the homunculus, is like these alchemists would go on these huge like journeys outside of their body doing astral projection. And they had to develop some sort of spiritual creature to keep as like the garter of the doorway. So your body couldn't be possessed while you were out doing this astral projection. And so the homunculus was there to sort of like stay on guard and make sure that nothing would take over your body. So
that's so interesting.
I don't know. It seems like maybe a dream homunculus would be cool too. It's like have a little being that watches over you as you sleep. Maybe like a elf of sorts, elf on a shelf, maybe. I don't know.
No, that's nightmarish.
Right. Hopefully somebody else's nightmares. That's the thing about gargoyles. It's like, well, you're putting something scary up there. Don't you think that that's going to bring in evil spirits? It's like, no, it's going to scare away the evil spirits. I don't know. It always seemed a little backwards to me. But this is a great episode. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Anytime you got another dream, let us know, and we'll pick them apart live on.
Yeah, those dreams are fucking intense. Those are probably the best ones I've heard. I mean, so detailed and just like, yeah, you're like you're having thought conversations with yourself.
All right, this guy Vincent says that he has a volcano in his backyard.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's in Hawaii. That's right. Yeah,
Vincent, we're going to need you to astral project into the volcano and then come back to us with a report.
Yes, please flip your eyes to the back of your head and then just let yourself fall, please, Vincent.
Right. Well, actually, you get a shaky feeling too. It feels like you're having a seizure, but your body's not actually moving. That sounds a little bit like you're am I triggering something?
Yeah. I know that I said that time where it feels like a fluttering. Like I've equated it to waves going through you, but I've also realized too that I've even wondered about like the symbol of fire because like it would be the same thing. It just feels like this intense flickering going through my body. Waves or a flame, same shit, probably. You know what I'm saying? Like with inside. I feel that every single time I blast the fuck off, right before I do. It feels like right out of myself. That's what it feels like is happening.
Yeah, I always wondered based off of your descriptions if like that was astral projecting or like
whatever it is, fucking intense.
Well, I mean, astral projection, it takes place on multiple planes, right? So you can astral project to the physical realm, and then there's actually like blasting off outside of your body into like imaginary realms, and sort of like making that distinction there as well. I mean, who knows? There could be something that's sort of like a hybrid between the two of them that is sort of where the hypnagogic state takes place in the first place, because that's sort of like the space between asleep and awake anyway, right?
I will say the one thing though, from the experiences that I've had, whatever I've seen or gone or whatever, that has always been like never been a bad thing. It's what gets weird or freaks me out sometimes or just gets, get bugged out to me is when I come back and I'll like the shit going through my head and the stuff that I'm like, I didn't even know this before. Why is it? That's what's fucking weird, actually.
Right.
Yeah, but the experience itself is beautiful. It's
like you get a download
effect. You're just like, yo, yeah, every time too, yeah. Yeah. I've thought about that. Like, if I study for like 2 years and then do it again, will everything that I studied in those 2 years get reassembled in my head?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the way it seems to rewire all the previous shit I already had in my head. I was like, if I study and learn more stuff, we'll learn it in a skewed way. When I have this experience, we'll unskew it and I'll understand everything really. That sounds crazy, but I've thought that as a strategy.
It sounds like something an ancient alchemist would do. But this was a great episode. Thank you. Come back anytime. We're always here on Thursday. And Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you again next time.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Yes.